Welcome to another episode of I don't yet know what this show is going to be called, but so you're very early on, is what we're saying. Today's episode, there's many, you can go many YouTube videos where they do a Dream Theater tier list. And the reason why I wanted to record this episode is because most of them are garbage. So yeah, so that's why we're going to do this. And
hmm
I'm just joking. We all
This
love
right
all the
here,
other YouTube channels.
this
Yeah.
is the expert on Dream Theater right here. This guy.
Right. There's actually a couple takes that I've seen on multiple of these tier lists, and it like to my core just
hmm
burns me so much that I said I actually want to start a YouTube channel so I could do an episode so I can talk about this.
Yeah,
Like that's how
yeah.
passionate about I am this. So
That's yeah.
so yeah, if you've seen the other Dream Theater tier list videos, know that I'm doing like one of the catalysts for this channel is how much I was watching the other videos. I'm like, oh my God, I have to say something, but I just can't talk to those people. So I'm gonna make my own video, basically. So anyway, this is the second episode in or third, depends on when this comes out, in our series. And I have my buddy here, Mark. Hello, Mark.
Hey.
And Mark is a music aficionado, and especially in prog rock. He has a deep background in progressive rock, and we have another episode on King Crimson. So if you haven't checked that one out, check that one out. So yeah, I think this would be well, I'm going to release this episode after that one. So yeah, so go back if you like this episode or you find it interesting, check out the other episode. So today we're going to do this similar to there's another YouTube channel called The Prog Report, and they do these like
I
tier lists
watched it.
where they force only a certain amount of albums in a slot, in particular S and A, right? Because it's like easy to just to put everything in A or an S, right? So if you're
Hmm
a fan, so I'm going to talk briefly before we get into it, so you'll see why I'm so passionate about this. So so I'll give my background into Dream Theater, and then Mark, you can give yours, and I think we actually have a different uh, probably level of liking the band. So that probably will make the episode a bit more interesting. So,
Yeah,
Dream Theater is my all-time favorite band. I've seen them over 40 times ish live. Probably I
that's
lost
that's
count,
that's dedication, man.
44 or something like that. I've seen Liquid Tension Experiment live in 1998 or 99 when they first toured. I was
Mm.
at them. I've met John Petrucci back in the Guitar Clinic in 90. I have a picture of me as a teenager with him.
You were friends with
Um,
Charlie Dominici too, weren't
there
you?
you go. On Facebook, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Rest in
So
peace.
yeah. So basically, they're my favorite bands. There's not an album I don't like. So let me just state that.
Mm, mm,
So there's albums which I think are not great compared to the other ones, but if you
hmm
say, obviously I'm going to explain later what my least favorite album is. But if you gave me songs off that album and you compare to a bunch of other bands, I would say, oh, I like this song, these songs on this compared to the other bands. That's what I mean. Like, so even my least favorite album, I still like. Let me be clear. I don't necessarily go back and listen to it that much, but that is, we'll talk about that later. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to roll a dice. All right. There's 16
Oh.
albums, and we're going to go back and forth on the dice roll. And these are in order 1 through 16. Okay. And yeah, so whatever dice roll you get to place the album where you think it belongs in the tier list. Okay. Now, um, there is only going to be, let's do three in S tier and four in, let's see, wait, I don't think we need S one, two, three. Okay. So yeah, three in S tier and then no more than four in any other tier. Is that fair?
Yeah.
All
Do you
right.
think we'd even need F tier? I mean, any of
I
them
don't think
really?
so. No, I
Yeah.
don't think so. All
Does
right.
any band really have an F tier out? I mean, I guess if you don't like it, but I mean
I'm sure we could think of
F
I'm
tier
sure
just
we could
means
think
it's
of
absolute dog shit.
right. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. So, how about three in S and no more than four in any other tier? All right.
That works for me.
Um, Now, the one thing I kind of like the other rules of the other channel is that if one of them is full and it's your turn, you can bump something up or down,
Yeah, sure.
right? So that's the only time you can do that. All right. So, let's kick it off. Mark, I'm gonna let you go first. Okay.
Come on, number 13.
Uh, number one. Okay.
Whoa!
So
Is that
all right. Okay. So
so?
that is
When
when
Dream?
Dreaming Day Unites. So where would you put this album, Mark?
This is a hard one to start with because this is a like everybody does not like this album. Like I consistently see this in the bottom three, and it's like people are like, "Oh, they haven't found their sound yet." No James LaBrie. Like I think this is a very underrated album.
I agree.
I think it's got
Totally
some
agree.
bangers on it. I think the first like 4 tracks are fucking great.
Yeah.
Like Status Seeker is kind of silly, but I love it. It's
Me
great.
too.
It's
Yeah.
got Itsy Jam is just like a straight up awesome instrumental.
Right.
Um like the ones who helped set the sun, like it's got good tracks on it, man. And it just gets like unnecessary hate just because it doesn't have James LaBrie on it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um I personally think this is a solid B.
Okay.
You could say C. I mean, I wouldn't disagree with you, but I like it. I think it's good.
This is exactly where I put it.
Okay. See, we're
So I actually don't disagree at all.
that's good,
So
man.
I'll talk about why.
Okay.
If they recorded Images and Words in the same studio at the same time as this album with James LaBrie, this album, in my opinion, would be an A tier album
Hmm. Yeah.
because the songs are really good.
Yeah.
So, and the performances are good, the songs are good. I mean, Fortune and Lies, whenever they play that song live, it's
Awesome
a
song.
killer song, right?
Awesome.
Yahtzee Jam is they've played that a billion times live. It's a classic, right? It's kind of like their version of YYZ, right? It's like that
Yep.
kind of
Hmm.
instrumental. Not like the craziest, but it's just a really fun instrumental, right?
Killing Hand, great
Oh,
song.
The Killing Hand is like that's up there for me in the Dream Theater songs. It's definitely a top 20 song.
Yeah, it's
So
classic.
yeah, it's awesome, man. Like that, and especially on the Live in the Marquee version with
Yeah.
James LaBrie,
Hmm.
that makes it like even a high, like a top 15 song.
It
So
does, man.
Killing Hand, love that. If there isn't a song on here that I don't think is either really good or great, I like them all. So because of that, to me, that's an A tier album. It's
Yeah.
just the production is bad. And Charlie's voice, while I do think he does have a good voice, it's just not a fit with a lot of these songs.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
didn't think about the production. That does make sense. The production is pretty
yeah,
shitty, but
yeah.
it's 89. It's their first album, you know. It's
I
whatever.
actually have in here, I have a first pressing of this album. So from 89. So I'm happy about that. I wanted to get the original, so to have it. So do have that. But
That's pretty
yeah.
cool.
So that's all right. Easy. Okay. I'm gonna go
Easy.
next. Let's see. Six. Okay.
What's that?
This is
Six
two, three,
degrees.
4, 5, 6. 6 degrees of inner
Ooh,
turbulence.
this is a
Okay.
fun one.
This one, it teeters for me between
Okay.
two, and those two are S and A.
Really?
Yes. So I am going to put it at A,
Okay.
and I'll talk about why. So the reason why it teeters is because it's could be nostalgia for the other album, but I'm going to save it. There's another album here that I have a lot of personal nostalgia on listening to a million times, and I think all those songs are great. And then I hear other people rank that album and they don't have that same opinion. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's not an S tier album. But to me, I'm still going to put it S and I'll save that for later. But the point is, if I get to put it, but the point is, to me, this album is a close to S tier album. And the reason for that is it's a double album. The first song is the first song off of the double A suite and the Glass Prison. And it's like one of the most insane metal Dream Theater songs ever written.
Hmm.
It's got everything. It's got new metal in it. I don't know
Yep.
if you. It's got like record scratches. It's got like
Yes, it
they just
does.
went
Yes,
crazy
it.
with it.
Yes, it does.
So while on the record that sounds silly, somehow it works. I don't know what to say, but it's like you hear that with it starts off with the ending of Scenes from a Memory with the same tone with the same record
Hmm.
static sound, and then it
Yep.
comes in with the bell. I mean, Glass Prison, like I'm always like, please, whenever I see them, I'm like, please play the Glass Prison.
Yeah.
They never
It's
do, but
definitely
yeah,
it
yeah,
which is so weird because it's a fan favorite. I don't really understand. Like I
Yeah,
always
I
like
don't know.
if people pick one song off of this album, it's always the Glass Prison. It's never the song 6 Degrees. It's always Glass Prison. Always.
Right.
Always.
So then if you go down the list, Blind Faith is to me, it's hard to say top 20 because I don't have all 20 in front of me, but it's up there. I love Blind Faith. Is sometimes if somebody says, "What's Dream Theater sound like?" Blind Faith is not the quintessential Dream Theater song, but I think it's very accessible and it has a little bit of everything in it. It has the melody, it has prog, it has virtuosic, it has solos, it has a kind of a cool chorus. So I love Blind Faith. Misunderstood is one people knock. I love that song.
Okay.
So the Great Debate, basically disappear. All of those songs I love, and then the second disc is fantastic, like front to
Mhm.
back. I've
Yeah.
listened to that disc a million times. So what do you think about this album?
I mean, I think you did it. You said it perfectly. It's in high A. I wouldn't put
Hmm.
it in S personally for me. It's very
Right.
nostalgic for me because it came out at a time when I was like pretty young. I think what was it, '02 it came out?
I think it was '01 actually.
'01. So
Yeah, '01, '02, right
I
around
was
there.
like
Yeah, yeah.
barely a teenager, you know. Like my
Hmm.
brother, like he loved Dream Theater when we were younger, so it was
Hmm.
always like secondhand. I would just listen to whatever he had, and he got this when
Right.
it first came out, and I was like pretty blown away by it. I'm just like,
Hmm.
this guy's like fucking shredding his dick off on this album, and
Right.
like, like
Right.
I didn't really understand music as much back then, but like even at the
Right.
time, I was just like, this is like crazy, like
Yeah.
well, so a couple things I will say is I think Glass Prison is the best song on the album, including the
Okay.
entire 6 Degrees song.
Okay.
Um, it's a probably a top. I don't know about a top 10 song, but definitely top 20 for me. Top maybe even top 15. Um,
Hmm.
the rest of the songs in the first half are good. Some
Right.
points of the set of the second of the 6 Degrees song I'd like to point out are War Inside My Head and Test to Stump Them All are two of my favorites.
Okay.
I do like Solitary Shell, even though I think it sounds like an Irish Spring commercial,
Hmm.
but I still love it. I think it's
Right.
great. It's like
Right.
super soft and like
Right.
very heartfelt. I mean, About to Crash and Grand Finale are just like,
Hmm.
I mean, come on, man. If you don't
They're
like
awesome,
that,
man.
if you don't like that, you
Yeah.
don't really like prog or metal. Honestly,
Right.
like
Right.
it's so good.
Yeah.
Great album.
Awesome. So you were right, by the way. It did come out in 2002,
Okay,
January 29th. I
just
remember,
barely.
yeah, I remember where I was. I was at the Tower Records in Cherry Hill, New
Oh yeah.
Jersey.
Oh, I've been there
Remember
many
that?
times. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and it was one of those back then they used to do the midnight releases. So
Oh yeah.
I was sitting in my car waiting for the doors to open. I mean, talk about a moment, like a Dream Theater fan moment. Waiting for the doors to open, right? The doors open, I go buy the CD, I pop it in, and the first thing you hear is the freaking static from Scenes from Memory at the end, and you hear those bells from the Glass Prison, and then it kicks
Mhm.
in. You're like, "It's the greatest thing I ever heard."
And
Like,
then
so
you
anyway,
crashed your car, right?
I'll never forget that moment. Yeah,
And you crashed your car, right?
oh, immediately, yes. So,
So
so
a
yeah,
nice little aside
yeah.
and a future episode that we should definitely do because I would love to. Um,
Hmm.
I actually got Damnation and Deliverance by Opeth when they first came out at that Tower Records.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
because they came out
Okay,
the same day because it was a double release. So
gotcha. Beautiful. Well, yeah, we can do an Opeth episode. I have most of the albums on
I
vinyl.
I
Yeah.
love Opeth, man. That's a band I always go back to. But
All right.
this is a Dream
Yeah.
Theater video, so we'll keep it at
Yeah.
that.
All right. The third album
Oh,
is
is this what I
Awake.
think it is? Oh
Awake.
yeah, baby.
Okay. All right. So what's your choice? Yeah.
All right. So I have these S albums in my head already that I think should be there.
Okay.
Um, two of them are solidified, and you know which ones I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
the third one is could be one of maybe three albums for
Okay.
me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna be conservative here. I love this album. This is like one of the most nostalgic albums for me.
Okay.
Um, I'm gonna put it above 6 Degrees in the A tier.
Oh, okay.
So right
Okay.
there.
All right.
So the reason I'm not gonna put it in S is
Mm-hmm.
because I think another album is more deserving, but that's just for me. Look, let me.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you have put it? Would you have
S.
had it? All right, put it in S. Put it in S.
Okay. All right.
Put it in S.
The reason
So
this
I
is the
was,
album I was talking about that was nostalgic for
yeah,
me.
it is
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
nostalgic for me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the other two albums, I won't even say it. We'll get to it when
All
we get
right.
to
All
it.
right. All right. We don't want to spoil it. Yeah.
This album is I might be biased here because it's
Hmm.
nostalgic for me. Like again, it
Hmm.
came out when I was very young. Like my brother had the CD. I listened to it secondhand, loved it. Didn't really understand it as much, but as I revisited in like years later, I'm just like, this album still rules. Like
Right.
every track on this album is great. Every track.
Yeah.
6 Degrees, Caught in a Web, Innocence Faded. I mean, Erotomania is like one of my favorite instrumentals by Dream Theater.
Hmm. Hmm.
Voices, Silent Man. Dude, The Mirror is like, I don't hear Dream Theater fans talk about that song enough.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it kind of like, it doesn't piss me off, but I'm just kind of like, do you guys forget this song exists? It's fucking incredible.
Right. It is, man. Even the
Dude,
lyrics, like everything. It's like,
everything.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like one of my favorite like James LeBrie like vocal performances.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah.
The part where he's like, "How the hell did you possibly
Yeah.
forgive me?" Oh,
It's
dude.
incredible.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, it's
He
so
really,
good.
he really embraces, because Mike Portnoy wrote that song, right?
Yeah,
He really embraces the feeling that Mike must have been feeling when he was writing those lyrics. And like James does I mean, an incredible job of bringing that emotion out. That's one of the things that I think, many things actually, that James LeBrie does well is that he's able to convey different emotional aspects of the lyrics depending on what they are. So yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
I mean, and then you got like "Lie," which is another
yeah,
very underrated track.
yeah,
One of the 3 Kevin Moore tracks on the album, the lyrics.
hmm, yeah,
And I dude, Space Divest. Again,
awesome.
like where are the Dream Theater fans talking about these songs? Like everybody's like, oh, like like Count of Tuscany or Illumination Theory or like, come on, man. What are you talking about? Like this album is incredible. Like every
Right.
song is really good. Like
Yeah, I'm
top
sorry.
tier.
We'll get to those later albums later. And again, I like all those albums. Some I love, but it's not this album. Like the
Yeah,
Count of Custody. You can put any of these songs like The
I love that
Mirror.
song. That song's incredible.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah.
The Mirror. You name it. Scarred.
I really like Voices and Lie. Yeah,
Voices, man. Voices is top tier for me. Dream
yeah,
Theater song. I
yeah.
remember, it's nostalgia, when I went to a John Petrucci guitar clinic when I was 17. Everyone else was asking him about guitar, and I asked him about the lyrics to Voices because he wrote those lyrics. And I loved that song so much, and I loved the lyrics so much and the vocal performance that I asked him to give me his details about what he was thinking when he wrote that song.
I'd have to
And
imagine he got
yeah.
pretty excited when you asked him that.
He did. Yeah. He says,
Yeah.
no one ever asked me about lyrics. so, and he was going on to say, which it's related to erotomania. It's about someone with a sex addiction. So,
Yeah, I can see
and
that.
so when I was 17, I didn't think that's what it was about. So, you know how sometimes you look at lyrics and you just put yourself in the lyrics? You don't, that's the beautiful thing about songs is you relate to them different ways. The writer might have meant something, but you interpret it differently.
Sure.
So I always interpreted Voices differently than that, but it didn't ruin it for me by any means, but it gave me a new perspective on it. So,
That's good, man.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, great album, S tier. I
yeah,
mean, it's one of their best.
yep,
It still has the images and words sound, if you will. Like it
yep,
has that like '90s like awesome Dream Theater sound, which I love.
gotcha.
Um, yeah, every track, great.
Next up is for me
Wow.
is Images and Words. This is easy
Okay,
though.
come
It's not even.
on. Yeah, do we even need to talk about this album, honestly?
I mean, I'll just say, I'll
Actually,
put it.
I do want to hear what your favorite song on this album is. I'm very curious.
Um, Metropolis Part One. In
Yeah, okay.
fact,
Yeah. Yeah.
the Metropolis Part One is the first Dream Theater song I ever heard in my life. So I was
What a one to start with.
I was in this was like 1994 maybe. I heard this
Hmm.
song first time, and I was in my neighbor across the street played drums. He was like maybe 6 or 7 years older than me, so I was like 14. He's like 20 or 21, right?
Yeah.
So he's got a Ford Mustang. He plays the drums. He plays all the Rush songs on
Oh yeah,
drums,
you
right?
told me about
Yeah.
this guy. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
basically, he's like to me, he's like the coolest guy.
He's
You
an
know what I
alpha
mean?
male. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, totally. So we're sitting in his Mustang, and he's like, "You think Kirk Hammett is good? You got to listen to this." so, so he put he put Metropolis Part One on, right? And I was like, I never heard anything like that in my life. And I
Yeah.
was like, and I just want to hear that from now on. So anyway, so it was like a total life-changing moment when I heard that. And at that time, I was mainly listening to Smashing Pumpkins and
Yeah.
90s rock and Metallica. And that was like when I first heard Metropolis Part One, it opened like a whole new world of musicianship, I would say, for me. So what about
Nice,
you?
man.
What's your favorite song on that album?
Metropolis.
Okay.
They made an album after that
Right.
song. Like
Right. Yeah.
some other contenders though
Yeah.
are I mean fucking Under a Glass Moon is great. Learning to
Right.
Live is incredible.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. I mean, they're all great. I
Yeah,
mean,
all great. I mean, Pull Me
the
Under is
song I
the
listen to the least at this point is "Pull Me Under" because it's like you've heard
yeah,
it so
because
many
it's yeah,
times. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's their hit, you know?
Right.
It's what everybody who doesn't listen to Dream Theater regularly knows Dream Theater for. So.
Right. But even because you were talking about the ballads, like I love "Surrounded," "Wait for Sleep."
Yeah. Oh
Pretty
yeah.
much, to me, if you say, "Is there a perfect prog rock album?" This is to me, this is a perfect album. There's no bad songs and there's no not even good songs. To me, they're all great. And there's another album which we'll talk about coming up, which I also feel that way. And Awake is not as strong as this album, but it's like close, you
Yeah, it's
know?
close. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
definitely
close. Yeah.
it's a good what's the word I'm looking for here? Um album to make after like a follow-up, a good follow-up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Not as good as the one after or the
Right.
two after, but yeah,
Right.
you know what I mean.
All right, so you're up next and you get wait.
We got
Okay, we
two
got to
already.
repeat. All right. Wow, randomness.
What?
Okay.
Did you break it?
No, hold on. I said roll a 16 die. Okay, let me make sure I'm doing this right. Okay,
There you go.
let's go. All right.
Okay.
Eight.
Ooh. I hope is that what I
So
think it is?
wait, so six was 6 degrees,
So,
right? Yeah, six was 6 degrees. So seven
ooh,
is train of thought, and
yeah, Octavarium?
yeah, eight is Octavarium. Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
dude, let me preface this by saying I really like this album a lot.
Okay. Okay.
I really like the concept for it too, how every song's
Hmm.
like an octave higher. I think that's really cool.
Hmm.
Um so this is one of the other two albums that I was teetering on S with because
Okay.
I think
Okay.
this is definitely borderline S for me as an
Okay.
album. I love
Okay.
it. I know Panic Attack is a hit. That
Hmm.
song is fucking awesome.
Hmm.
I love it very much. I love The Root of All Evil. I love like oh my god, these walls are great. Obviously,
Hmm.
the song Octavarium, 24 minutes long. It's ridiculous. It's
Right.
incredible. It has some of my favorite John Bertucci work, like guitar work of
Right.
any album.
Right.
I think the production sounds great. I
Hmm.
like everything about this album.
Okay.
So
What would you rank it?
I would put it above 6 degrees and A tier.
Okay.
So you may not agree with me there. You'd probably put it below 6 degrees, I would
I
assume,
would.
but
Yeah.
okay, that's fair. But you agree A tier though, right?
Um, A, yes. I would say for me it's a low A, but it's
Low
A.
A? Okay, okay.
Mhm.
So
The,
tell me what you like about this album.
I mean, I like all the songs because an A-tier album to me, it's pretty much you like all the songs for the most part. So the reason why I'll put it, the reason why I'm putting low A is because some of the songs like Sacrifice Sons is good.
Okay.
Um, The Answer Lies Within is good. I don't think those songs are as strong as some of the other songs on the album. So to me, the reason why I rank 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence a little bit higher is the strength of every song, in my opinion.
Okay.
So I like them all though, but Octavarium, that's one of the probably best, like definitely one of the best prog epics out there written, like in the like by anybody. It's got to be, it's up there, top 20
Yeah.
probably, right?
Let me just put
Um,
I want to put it on real quick in my background
yeah.
because there's one
Okay.
part that I you can just keep talking. I'm just gonna put it
Okay.
on.
These Walls, I love These Walls. I mean, I like all the
Mhm.
songs, so don't get me wrong, but I would say I would put a little bit lower, in my opinion. In fact, I would put it at the bottom of A. So if there's going to be four albums in A, in my opinion, I would put it four, but I'm not mad at it anywhere there. So, It's just a
Okay.
personal preference.
Hey man, I respect it.
All right. Wow. Okay, we got an ad. All right. Next up is me, right? 14.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
That's solid,
Now
man.
the dice are working. So this is 16, 15, 14. Okay. Distance over time.
I just
This
listened
is
to this today, actually.
this is my second least favorite Dream Theater album.
Second
So,
least favorite. Really?
not my least
So
favorite, second
so
least favorite.
so
Yes.
you like the self-titled more than this.
Yes.
So you like let me see. I know what your least favorite is. It's very obvious. It's everybody's.
Right.
So you okay, so you like oh yeah, okay. You like yeah, okay. I mean, you're gonna like any of the Portnoy albums. Okay.
Right.
No, that's fair. I actually really liked it.
Okay. Tell me. I mean, again, these are relative to one another. If you said, Troy, you have to listen to Distance Over Time or like 95% of all the other rock metal albums, I'll pick this album. So that's what I mean. Like, it's still a great, to me, it's a really good album. It's
Yeah.
just we're comparing them to the Dream Theater's best album. So it's just
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
stack
fair.
up. Right. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just start like okay, it's fair. Like it doesn't
Hmm.
have like every song isn't amazing. It has some
Hmm.
really good songs. Like I
Hmm.
really like Untethered Angel. Fall Into
Yeah.
the Light's good. I really like Barstool Warrior. That song's kind of a stupid name, but I still really like it.
It's a good song. It's a
I
good
know
song.
I
Yeah.
know it's about like,
But
like
yeah.
fighting what is it? S2N, good. At Wit's
Okay.
End, probably the strongest song on the album, I think.
I agree. Wits
Yeah.
End is my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, very good
Yeah.
song. Pale Blue Dot was good. Like
That's
the
good.
the problem with these albums, with these Mangini era albums, is I
Hmm.
feel like they were kind of like running out of steam, you know?
Mm.
Kind of like the Portnoy the end of the Portnoy albums, like Systematic Chaos, which is a good album. Don't get me wrong, I
Hmm.
like it. Um, I just kind of feel like they were like running out of creative juices a little bit, especially
Hmm.
after making The Astonishing, and they were just like, I, it's just like I don't know. It just seems like it's almost like a filler. Even though I did really like it though. Like the guitar,
Mm.
like as usual, like the instrumentation is incredible, like every album.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
that just goes without saying though. But like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's my second least favorite. I would say maybe my third least favorite or possibly even fourth, but it's only one
Okay.
listen too, so it's what are you gonna get out of
Sure.
that?
For me, I let me
Put it in the
see.
D put Just put it in the D tier. That's fine.
Okay.
I think
I'm
that's
gonna
it's
put it
where it
in
should be.
C. I'm gonna put it in C
Okay.
for now. We can always move it. We can always
Okay.
move it.
All right.
To me, it's low C. Low C.
Low C.
It's
Okay.
not a D tier album. I'll
No.
say that. There are songs, a lot of the songs I like. There's the S2N song. Um, Not really. That one doesn't. I don't really go back to that song much.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like maybe one or two of these songs I would go back to, but I'm just not they're
Right.
not like super memorable for me.
Yeah. So, oh, this is one of maybe my least favorite Dream Theater song, Room
Yeah.
137.
I honestly don't even remember I don't even remember it.
I, it's my least favorite. I'll put it that way.
You just don't like Mike Mangini, that's all.
I like Mike Mangini as a person, and I think he's a great drummer, to be fair.
He is
I
a
just
great
don't
drummer.
like this song. That's all. And I can't, there's not another Dream Theater song, which I would probably say that about. And that's going to be controversial for some people because I like every Dream Theater song, basically. But this one, I
Do
pretty
you though?
much, mm, there's a
Do
difference between thinking the album is great and the
yeah,
songs are pretty good. So
you knew
that's a
exactly what I was talking about.
yes. I would say out of every Dream Theater song ever written, this is my least favorite. So
Okay. Okay.
because of that, and because of like these two to me are like they're all right. Wits End is very good. Out of Reach is good. Like the other ones are good. To be fair, they are
Yeah.
good. I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
saying they're not, but it gets dragged down a little bit. So that's my opinion. So I put it here.
You sure you don't want to put it in D?
Nah, I'm
All
gonna
right. Okay.
reserve that one for
Okay.
something special. All
Oh,
right.
I like that. We got
Did we do eight already?
yeah, it's Octavarium, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. All right. Five
Ooh.
is scenes from
Scenes from
memory.
memory?
Yeah. Okay.
Put it in
You
S tier all the way
okay?
to the left, sir, please.
Okay.
I
All right.
mean,
I think you know how I feel about it
there's
too.
really
Yeah.
nothing more to say. This is their magnum opus.
Right.
This is the culmination of everything they've done. It's it's all you need as a Dream Theater fan. It has everything you could possibly want in a prog metal band. It's great from front to back. It has
Hmm.
great lyrics. It's a great story, great instrumentation. It has like literally, like I said, anything you would possibly want. It's
Yeah.
their best album, and I don't even think it's arguable with fans. I don't think
Hmm.
I've ever seen the only album I may have seen above this is Images and Words, and that's it. I've never
Right.
seen any other album above this for fans.
You know why I would say it's always split between the two? Because the individual songs on Images and Words might be stronger.
Hmm.
Like for example, like Metropolis, Learning to Live, like those
Yeah,
ones.
that's fair.
But like as an album front to back, if you're ranking the album itself, I would agree with this. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yep.
mean, I don't even need to go through the songs because they're all
No.
phenomenal. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
Overture
perfect.
1928
Yeah.
is like it's a top 10 song. Fatal
Right.
Tragedy, it's a top 10 song.
Right.
Home, top 10 song. Dance of Eternity,
Right.
top 10 song. Like it's just all of them are
Right.
just
Right.
like Dance of Eternity is my favorite Dream Theater instrumental, like without a doubt.
Right.
It's just
Right. Let me
every
tell you
song is
this.
phenomenal.
I was telling you this in private, but I'll just say on the video now. So my wife and I started listening to records together, and she doesn't really have a background in this type of music at all. So
Yeah.
this is all new to her, right? And in fact, really rock music in general. So we're going from not really listening to rock music that much to like, Scenes from a Memory. It's like a
Probably
huge jump,
the
right?
most
So,
extreme, like, yeah.
right, right. So we said it was my birthday over the weekend. So she said like, "Hey, we had always talked about listening to this album because like, you should listen to it. You should listen." She's like, "For your birthday, I'll sit down and listen to it front to back." And I'm like, "Okay." So we did that because it's long, compared to a lot of other albums
Yeah.
we were talking about in the King Crimson episode. So,
Mm.
so we sat down and listened to it, and she really liked it, according to what she said. But I said, "What are your favorite songs?" And she goes, "Well, my favorite song was The Spirit Carries On." I said, "Okay, that makes sense, right?"
Yeah, yeah, of course.
And then I said, "What's your second?" She goes, "Dance of Eternity." And I almost like spit out my drink. I was like, "Are
Yeah.
you kidding?" I thought she was joking, actually. She's like, "No, I love that." I'm like, "Really?" So anyway, I'm like, I
Sonia,
don't know how someone who's not a musician or doesn't understand like what's happening with the music can really appreciate it. But that goes to show you that you don't have to be a musician to like this music. So it's pretty cool.
it
Yeah.
definitely helps. I could say
Yeah.
that, but yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
nothing more needs to be said. We could just move on.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, we save time that way. All right. This is me.
Oh, is
So
that Systematic Chaos?
it
Or no,
is. Yep.
or is it Train? Okay, never mind. Yeah, it's Systematic
Yeah,
Chaos.
systematic chaos.
Okay, this is a curious one. I'd like to see where you put this.
Okay. I'm gonna put this at B tier.
Okay, okay,
We're allowed four in A and four in B, right? Okay.
okay. Let me look at these
So,
tracks.
um, gonna put this at B. I cannot put it in the same tier as Distance Over Time. It is a better album than that.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So systematic chaos, right? So you're talking about In the Presence of Enemies, part one, like how it
And
kicks off
mm-hmm,
is
mm-hmm.
awesome, right? Forsaken is a cool little radio song. It's pretty cool. It's not something I go back and listen to that much, but
Yeah, it's just kind of like run of the mill Dream Theater for me, honestly.
right, yeah. It's them trying to write a catchy song, you know what I mean? Which it's fine.
Ooh,
Um
Constant Motion, on the other hand,
that's a great
it's
song.
very good rocker. Good rocker. Yeah.
That's like a Metallica song that Metallica hasn't been able to write in a long time, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
No, no
Yep.
slight to Metallica because I do love a lot of Metallica songs, but
Yeah, absolutely.
but like when you listen to that riff, the constant motion riff, especially the verse part, it's
Mm-hmm.
very Metallica, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like a better riff than we've been hearing for a while and for Metallica. So there's that. The Dark Eternal Night, that song's awesome, especially live. That song is killer live. Like it comes across like pretty crazy. So
Mm.
yeah, pretty much the last song. So to me, I like every song on this album. Um, the one song, Ministry of Lost Souls, that song is cool. It's not my favorite, but it is a good song. So I like all the songs. To me, I won't spend too much time on it. I would say it's like a B tier album. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like middle of the road.
Yeah.
Maybe possibly a little bit lower than middle of the road, but I
Okay.
think low B tier is probably good. Because I
Okay.
agree, you can't put that in the same category as Distance Over Time.
No, it's definitely better. Yeah.
Dark Eternal Night's a good song too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. That was live is like really
Oh
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, number 13. So 16, 15, 14, 13 is the no, I was wrong about that. So wait a minute. I think Black Clouds was 10, right? Yeah, Black Clouds is 10.
Well, Octavarium's 8.
Right. Yeah, Black Clouds Octavarium is 8. So 9, 10. So then we have
Oh no.
11.
Oh no.
Wait, hold on, wait.
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh no. Put it in D tier.
11.
Put it in D tier. It is. It's put it in D
Okay.
tier.
All right.
All right. Let me
Go
say a
ahead.
few
Yeah.
things here.
Okay.
Um, I respect the hell out of them for making this album.
Okay.
It's freaking, what is it? 2 hours and 10 minutes long of
Mm-hmm.
of ridiculous, like, progressive metal, like, crazy storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the girl from, what's her name, Lizzie Hale on it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's look at this. It has how many? It has 34 tracks on it.
Right.
It's a solemn undertaking, is what it is. It's it's
Right.
I don't
I'm
even know
looking at
where
the
I don't even know
track
where to
list.
start. Like, sure, there's some great tracks. Let me look at these.
Mm.
Like, so, like, this is I don't even know, like, where to even begin in here. Like,
Well,
jumping in, like,
Gift
I
for Music is pretty good. I think it's a pretty good song.
let me see. Let me look at the.
A New Beginning is good, I think. I remember that
Oh,
song.
Moment of Betrayal is good too. I
That's
like
a good
that.
one.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Heaven's Cove
Um,
is good, instrumental.
Instrumental, okay.
That a lot of these songs are pretty good. It's just as an album, it doesn't, it's a little, I don't know. I don't know what the right word is, but
I mean, I remember the one song has bagpipes on it. So I mean, like, that's cool,
right.
but like, am I listening to Dream Theater for bagpipes? I,
Right.
at at the end of the day, it was cool that they did it. Like, I
Hmm.
respect them for doing it. They wanted to do like a rock opera type thing, like they wanted to do, like the Who, like Tommy or something like that.
Hmm.
But like, it just didn't work. And
Yeah.
I would say like 75 to 80% of Dream Theater fans have this as their least favorite album, and I'm right there with
Yeah.
them
I really
because,
like Our New World too, actually. I think it's a good song.
okay,
Yeah. So
again, like,
basically, some of these songs I go back and listen to. Um, but as an album, it's not an album I really revisit after. I
nah,
listened to this album when it first came out multiple times through like I did because I know prog music can take multiple times to get into it. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's just
yeah.
that. So I did listen to it multiple times and I came out liking it more after re-listens, but if I had to compare it to the other Dream Theater albums, it's not as good. That's just simple.
I mean, it's got like cool parts, and like
Mm.
the cover's really cool looking. I,
Yeah.
I will say that, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
of like, Dream Theater doesn't usually have like the coolest album covers, but this one's pretty cool looking.
Yep.
That's all I
I
really have
agree.
to say.
So now we got seven left. So I'm just gonna do 1 through 7. So
Okay.
all right. Five. So this is me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Okay.
The self-titled album. Um, I'm thinking about this. So, hmm, this is tough for me. Tough for me to rank this. It's between two, and I'm trying to decide where it goes. It's between B and C. I'm gonna put it.
B, huh? Yeah.
I actually really like this album,
Ah,
so I'm gonna put it high C because
okay.
I agree it's probably not as good as the other B album. So I'm gonna put it high C, and I'll
Okay.
tell you why. Um,
Has Illumination Theory on it.
that song is good, but it's not my favorite. Like The Enemy Inside,
That's a great song.
awesome. That's a
Yeah, great
kick-ass
song.
song. I mean, I think that song is better than a lot of the later Mangini era songs. So, like for
Yeah.
example, the songs on Systematic Chaos, it's better than half of those songs, I would say. So my point is like that has really strong songs on it. The Looking Glass, I really like that
Yeah,
song.
it's a good song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enigma Machine's good.
Yeah, there's that
Yeah.
album like front to back is pretty strong.
It is.
So
It is. It is. It does get a lot of hate.
yeah, I think the hate is a little bit unwarranted, to be honest.
It
That's what I'm
is.
trying to say.
Let me
So
just say that the one Illumination Theory is awesome. I like how it has
yeah,
that like orchestral interlude in the middle, and then
right.
it kicks into like that Queensryche esque like part where James LeBree's like shouting almost.
Yep. Yep. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good. So here I'm gonna give you my now that I'm looking at the track list again. I like every song on this album. So for me, where I would say when I say I like every song, I pretty much like every song from every album, to be fair.
Yeah.
Except there's a few exceptions. But when I say I like it, I mean I would go back and listen to these songs again. So like if it came on, I wouldn't skip it. And to me, I think if I feel that way about the album, I can't rank it low at all. That's why I was even debating B tier. But I was thinking about the other albums I would put in B tier, and I'm like, if there was no
Yeah.
limit, I would put it low B. But since we're limiting B, I'm going to put it high C. So
I mean, there's a couple songs on this album that I'm not really huge on. Like I don't really like The Bigger Picture or like
okay,
Surrender to Reason or Along for the Ride that much.
okay,
Um but like the strong songs like you said are good.
hmm
They're really
yeah,
good. Like Illumination Theory aside, like Enigma
right,
Machine, Enemy Inside, like Surrender or not Surrender to Reason. What is it? Enigma? Did I say Enigma Machine? Looking
yes,
Glass. Like
yeah,
good songs, man. Like the
yeah. The
first half of
good
the
Looking
album is
Glass is
solid as
good. Yeah,
hell.
yeah. Okay, well,
Another big argument with this album, I think,
yeah.
is Mangini's drums kind of just sound like shit on it. Like,
To be honest with you, that's a lot of my problems with Mangini. And period
yeah,
is the way his drums sound. I don't
yeah,
like the production of his drums.
I
And
agree.
while he's technically one of the best drummers out there, um, I feel like the guy could literally play anything. Like you could just he'd figure out how to play the fastest death metal song. Like I feel like he could pretty much play anything, his technical ability. But let me say this. When you listen to him play, something is missing in the groove or the pocket. I don't know how to put it. He's in the pocket. It's the groove,
Yeah,
and I'm trying to separate those two things.
we can reiterate that when somebody gets dramatic turn of events. So
Okay.
if you want to move on,
He
because
does sound like he kind of sounds like a drum machine when he plays.
he does, and specifically
Yeah.
on those two albums, he does.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my knock on him. So I like again, I really like the album. It's just there's a few weak areas. All right.
Mm.
Next up, 1 through 6. We got 6 left. What?
The
Okay.
hell? Why
Yeah,
is it different?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm supposed to push something. All
Uh,
right. Well, 6. So 6 is Parasomnia. So this is your turn. So
okay.
yeah. Where
I
would you
almost
put
feel
it?
like you should just take this one because I've only listened to it once.
All right, we could switch turns then.
Okay.
Um, okay. This is my one of my hot takes. I have two hot takes. Okay.
Okay.
Um, thinking where this is gonna go.
I have an idea.
Um,
I really liked it on first listen. So
okay. It's gonna go as of now. By the end, maybe it gets moved. I don't know. It's gonna go right here.
okay. I
Yeah.
actually thought you would have had it higher, but okay.
I'm thinking about the other ones I would put in A's.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. That's what I
why.
figured. Yeah.
So so that's where I put it. High B, above Systematic Chaos.
Okay.
A little below with Dreamy Day and Night, only because I think the songs are so strong on with Dreamy Day and Night. So yeah.
That's a hot take in itself right there.
Oh yeah, there's a few hot takes in this episode, but I haven't gotten to the main one, which is why I even wanted to do this episode yet. So anyway, but that's my take on it. You
Hmm.
listened to it once. I've listened to this album 20 times, I would say. I've listened to it a bunch of times. The more I listen to it, the more I like it.
Yeah.
In fact, um, I listened to an album that a friend of mine recommended, the U2's the Unforgettable Fire, which I've never heard that album. I'm not too familiar with U2's music except for like the Joshua Tree and some of the popular songs.
Not a big U2 guy, I have to
But
say.
so somebody said, oh, it's like my favorite album of all time. So I said, all right, I'll listen to it, right? It's my discovery, right? I'm like, I'll listen to anything if somebody tells me that it's good. And we sat down, we listened to the first two songs of it, and I'm like, it's all right, right?
Bored.
Like
You
it's
were you
not
were
the,
bored, is what you're gonna say. Yeah.
no, I was trying to get into it. I'm like, okay, I get the melody, and the production was not very good. So it was hard to get over that at first, but I was like letting that go. But basically, we were getting through it, and then I stopped two songs in, and I talked to my wife, and I said, all right, you've never heard this. I've never heard this. What do you think? Right now, right before that, we had just listened to, my mind is thinking of the other album, Bend the Clock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right before listening to that U2 album, we listened to Bend the Clock. Again, my wife is not a Dream Theater fan, right? She's just getting introduced to it. She doesn't have any context. So we just listened to that one song. We listened to U2 and she goes, her actual quote was, well, it's no Dream Theater. That's what she said. And her reference for Dream Theater was Bend the Clock, okay, from this Insomnia album. So at that time. So the point is, I feel like the reason I'm ranking this album so high, and when I say so high, if you put it above Systematic Chaos, if you put it right around where Dream Day Night, for me, those are high rank album. It's because of songs like Bend the Clock, of songs like of the final track, the Shadow Man Incident.
Hmm.
Um,
Midnight Messiah.
yeah, Midnight Messiah is good. I mean, actually, my favorite like metal song on that album is which is weird. When I first listened to it, it was my least, and now it's my favorite. That's how prog music works, right?
Hmm.
That's a Broken Man. Excuse me, a Broken Man.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
that one, after repeat listens, I that's the one of the songs I keep going back to as the first half of that album. So the second half of that album is like that's an A tier album to me, like the second half, right? So
Hmm.
that's why it kind of teeters. And the ending of that song, one of John Petrucci's best solos, it's up there, I would say. In my opinion, a top five solo, maybe even top three. This is a true story. When I was listening to the album first time on release day, I had my headphones on, and Dream Theater was playing that night in Philadelphia, the release day night, right? They were playing, it was their first US show together ever, like since they got back together in Philadelphia, album release day, all excited, right? And I listened to Bend the Clock, and the guitar solo was going on and on and on. And by the end, I literally started to tear up. It was so good that I started to freaking cry. A guitar solo, right? So that's a true story. So I was just like, I was blown away by it. Just the melody, the phrasing, the technical. But I'm like, I started thinking, this is like the culmination of someone's career. It's like 40 years, you know? And after 40 years, they're doing one of the best guitar solos they've ever made. Like, who says that after 40 years? Like, what other band is producing like some of their best in this work guitar solo ever? There's not many bands after that many years, or most bands are producing garbage after it's a couple decades, right? So,
Well,
shout
Troy,
out to Dream Theater. Yeah.
to be fair, no other band has a guitarist or bassist that practice 6 hours a day. So
Well, I'm sure there are other bands out there that, but yeah.
is there though? 6 hours?
Yeah,
That's psychotic, man.
probably the guys in like Polyphia have, I would be guess, but those guys are
Yeah.
nuts too. But so,
Yeah. I
but
guess. Shout out to
basically,
Jim Henson.
yeah. So that's my story. And in fact, I met them that night. I went to the meet and greet. I got the record signed, and
Bro,
I
what a nerd.
told
You're
you,
such a nerd, dude.
yeah, I got a picture with them and everything. Maybe I'll put it up later. But the
Okay.
the what I told John was I actually just told him, I said, my opinion, this is one of your best top three, top five solos of all time, and I like all your solos. So basically, I told him that I was really basically just giving him props because I'm like, I don't know, a lot of people, the newer Dream Theater music, people kind of there's a lot they might shit on or whatever. So I wanted to make sure that I gave them the good feedback. So I was able to do that. So I was happy about that. So
No
anyway,
one's gonna no one's
yeah.
gonna shit on this because it's a classic lineup back. So they're like,
Right,
oh,
yeah.
praise the Lord.
Right,
Portnoy's
right.
back. My God, everything's all right with the world. But it's a very
Right,
good
right.
album. It's a very solid,
All
even
right.
after one listen.
Gotcha. So, four. One, two, three,
Oh,
four.
I was
Oh,
hoping I
dramatic
would
turn
get
of
this
events. Okay.
one.
All right. So there you go. Yeah. What do you
All
say?
right. Personally,
Hmm.
I think I'd put it in A. Is that hot
Okay.
take?
Oh,
I think
it's a huge
okay.
hot take.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You're allowed to have it, but it's just a huge hot take. That's okay.
I mean,
Sure.
it's
I'll
I
put
think
it
I
there.
think it's without a doubt the best Mangini era album. I don't. Is there even an argument there? Do you have? Would you agree with that?
This one and I would say song wise, yes. Production wise, no. I don't think the production is that good on this album.
No, but
Yeah.
I'm
Song
not
wise, yes.
I'm not a huge like production guy. As somebody who's
Okay.
listened to black metal for years,
Okay.
I don't really anymore, unfortunately. But that's a irrelevant. But this album,
Hmm.
drum sound aside, which is very irritating. I don't know why it sounds like that. Um, this has by far the best um Mangini era song on it in Breaking All Illusions.
Yeah.
I love that song. I think that
Hmm.
song's fucking killer. I think in the second half of their career, I think that's one of the best songs they've ever made.
Okay.
I think everything about it is great. I love like I re-listened to it like 5 times when I listened to the album.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's amazing. It's one of the best things they've done post 2010, I think, personally.
Okay.
That's just
Okay.
my opinion. I'm what the hell do I know? I'm just some jagoff from New Jersey. But
Right. Okay.
like
Sure.
On the Backs of Angels is an excellent
Hmm.
opener. Like one thing Dream Theater does right is they have good album openers. Like
Yeah, that's
like
true.
that song's really good. Like going back to Parasomnia in the Arms of Morpheus is a great opener. Um like on the self-title, the False Awakening suite is a cool opener. Like just like good fucking openers. And
Okay.
like the only song I'm not really huge on this album is Build Me Up, Break Me Down.
Yeah, that's the weakest song. Yeah.
I think it is by far.
Hmm.
This album also doesn't have a like an epic on it.
Right.
Um, but like Bridges in the
Well,
Sky,
Breaking All Illusions is not an epic, but it's almost. It's kind of
it's
long.
12 minutes. It's got a
Yeah.
couple
Yeah.
10+ minute songs, but
Yeah.
um Bridges in the Sky, like
That's a good one. Yeah.
like oh my god, so good, man. Like Outcry is great.
Yeah.
Lost Not Forgotten is really good. Like it's just I think it's a really solid album. And the only thing holding it back is Mangini's shitty drum sound. And maybe not great production, but I
Right.
think
And
I think
yeah,
this
when
is
I
the
say
best
production, I
thing.
mean the drums mainly. Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think this is the best thing that era did, personally.
Okay. I would agree with that. I think the songs are the best overall. Yeah. I would
And
agree
like
with that.
I saw like this is Reddit, so take it with a grain of salt, but
Hmm.
people were like, this isn't even like a Mangini album because like he didn't even like really do the parts. Apparently Petrucci did like the drum programming or something and he just like
He
drummed
did.
over it. Yeah. So I mean you could say this is like an interlude album. It's not even Mangini, but I still think it's a very solid album.
I
And
think the reason why this maybe comes across as the best, I have no idea. I'm just guessing, right? Is they were probably very inspired at this time because
with Mike leaving, you mean?
Yeah, they probably felt like they had to prove themselves. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
They
could see
probably
that.
were like, we got to write something great. And I think what they did, to be honest with you, I don't know if you've realized this, but I think they tried to model this album after Images and Words, front to back. So if you look at like, that's why there's no long epics, I think. So, um, so basically, if you look at it, like the first song on the Backs of Angels, right? It's kind
Hmm.
of like Pull Me Underish in style. Um,
Okay.
then you have songs like the last song, the Breaking All Illusions, a little bit like Learning to Live-ish. If you kind of look through that, there's a lot of similarities of the albums.
Hmm.
So it's not exactly, but I'm saying there are some similarities. So
So you think they were trying to reinvent themselves by like revisiting the past, kind of that
I
kind of
think
thing?
they were like, what does everyone love about Images and Words? Let's see if we can capture a little bit of that. And I think maybe that's what you're hearing on it. Maybe I think they're inspired by it a little bit. So,
Hey,
because
that's
I would
that's
say some of this stuff is more melodic than some of the other stuff later in the Magini era. So,
so. What was our rule? We can't have more than three in anyone.
three in S, but no more than four in any other one. So we're
All
almost
right. So
there.
do you want to move it down to C or B? I mean,
If you ask me where I would put it in B. Yep.
where in B though?
I would put it right here. No,
So you'd
right?
put it above Systematic Chaos.
I would do that. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Um,
it was your turn, so I
yeah,
can
I
go
know, but
back.
we're gonna have to
Okay.
rearrange these at the end. So just put it in A for
Okay.
now, and we'll rearrange
Okay.
it.
All right. The next up, so we got four left, right? So
Yeah.
let's see. It's my turn. It's changed. Okay. Three. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Um, all right. It goes here. B tier.
Okay.
I it's if you had to say the new album versus Black Clouds, I probably pick the new album, but they're very close to me. They're very similar albums. And in fact, the new album sounds like they just picked up where Black Clouds left off. That's what it sounds like to me. They were just like same band, we're gonna make similar music, right? It kind of has that sound to it.
This
What do you
has
think about
two.
this one?
This has two very memorable tracks that I like by Dream Theater, and that's
Okay.
the Shattered Fortress, which I really like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I like its background too. I like how it's like, like a allusion to like alcohol.
Right.
Because it's part of that like Portnoy suite where he was like an alcoholic or whatever.
Yeah, The
Um,
Glass Prison is the first song in that
right,
one.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
like, yeah, how many are there? Like four.
Yeah.
But it's just a solid track. And like obviously Count of Tuscany, I think is the breadwinner on this album. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's the
Mm-hmm.
best. It's
Yep.
excellent. Nightmare to Remember is really good too.
It is. Yeah.
Um, I don't remember a ton about this album because I only probably listened to it maybe like 3 or 4 times over
Okay.
the span of like since it came out. But
If you compare A Rite of Passage to Build Me Up, Break Me Down, because they're a similar type of radio song, to me, A
mm,
Rite of Passage is like way better. It's like a good radio style song, I think. Um,
I'm gonna be honest though, I
yeah.
think Build Me Up, Break Me Down kind of stinks as a song. I really like don't like it. And there's not many like Dream Theater songs I
Right.
don't like. I don't
Okay.
really that's like a
Fair
skip.
enough.
That's a skip for me, I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I like A Rite of Passage. I like Wither is pretty good. Wither is probably one of the probably the weakest song on the album, I would
Yeah.
say.
It's also like the
Um,
shortest one.
Yeah, but it's a good little ballad, you know, and I understand it's about writer's block. It's a fine song. In fact, if I came on, I probably wouldn't skip it, but
Yeah.
it's just not one I go back to a lot. But all the other songs, though, I've gone back to many, many times. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
Solid album.
Yeah, it's a solid album. For you, two, Train of Thought.
A tier.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And where would you put it in the A tier?
I would put it above Dramatic Turn of Events.
Okay.
Me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I would probably put it above 6 degrees. That's just
Okay.
me, but
Okay.
just leave it where it is now because
Okay. All
I think that's where it
right.
should be.
All
Um,
right. All right.
so this is definitely Dream Theater's heaviest album by far.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even close. Um, excellent album. Every song's
Mm-hmm.
good. It's got I believe their longest instrumental in Stream of Consciousness.
Longest instrumental? It's up there. Yeah, I don't exactly
It's
know,
like
man.
over it's like 10 minutes long, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
11 minutes. Wow, I was close.
Yeah.
Um, great opener. Like as
Mm-hmm.
I said before, like as I am, great opener. This Dying Soul. Oh my god, that's a that's a probably a top 10 Dream Theater song for me. I think
Okay.
I love that song. Like,
I have a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, who he didn't like Dream Theater. And he one day after years of listening to Dream Theater with me passively, like in the car, not really liking them, he one day when this album first came out, I played this Dying Soul for him, and he's like, "This is Dream Theater," and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's
yeah,
like, "This
yeah,
song is awesome," you know,
yeah.
and I'm like, and all of a sudden. That was his gateway drug into Dream Theater. Because once you can, I think the thing that turns people off from Dream Theater is the vocal style. But
Hmm.
like once it clicks in your head, once you go from because I was never like this. I've always liked it, but some people I know like him, they went from not liking it to tolerating it to
Yeah.
loving it. There's some transition when it happens to in your brain where I don't know, it gets used to it maybe, and then you start to understand why it's
Well,
good.
look at
Yeah,
Rush, man. It's the same thing.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I've known many people who are like, I can't get into Rush because of Geddy Lee's voice. It's like, well, like it grows on you. Like, just deal
right,
with it, okay? Like it's good.
right.
Like
So,
you just
right.
got to deal with it, all right?
There you go. So anyway, so that was his gateway drug into Dream Theater, and then it became his all-time favorite band, and all because of Train of Thought as the intro. Yeah.
There you go.
So
And I remember this came out after 6 Degrees, and it was like a
mhm.
pretty big departure from that album because it was
Oh
heavy.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was, it was. This is like it's still progressive, but it's not like 6 Degrees. And I
right.
remember people did not like this when it first came out. They were
Yeah.
pretty upset when it first came out. They're like, this isn't Dream Theater. This is like some like metal band, like. But it's
Yeah,
good,
no,
man.
it's
It's really good.
and thinking about it, like, in fact, my daughter, she's 3.5 now,
Hmm.
and she's listened to a lot of Dream Theater songs through me. And the one that she likes the most out of all of them is "As I Am." She knows every word to that. I don't know if she knows the words per se, but she sings it all the time, So
Troy, your daughter has good taste. Well, let
there
me
you
say.
go. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. So she loves that, and 6 o'clock. She likes a lot of them. Take the
6
time is one
o'clock
of
on a
her.
Christmas morning.
Take the time, and As I Am are her right now her two favorite Dream Theater songs. She
Take the
requests
time's
those
good.
songs every time we get in the car.
That's a good song.
So yeah, so basically, Train of Thought. For me, it's high A. I would put
Yeah.
it. I mean, in my opinion, it's I would put it right below 6 Degrees where it is, but then I would move Octagram down. But I know you don't, so that was
Oh
your
no,
choice.
we'll
So.
we'll get to that. Don't worry.
All right, all right. So basically, so to me, it's a high A tier album, is what I'm saying,
Yeah.
not just any
Okay.
A tier. It's very, very good. So,
Hmm.
all right. We got two left. It's my turn, right?
That's what you wanted, isn't it?
This is the one I wanted. This is
Yeah.
the one
Yeah.
the reason I'm even doing this video, and it's taken an hour to get there.
Yep.
So, okay. uh, here we're gonna have our first bump, actually. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. So.
I have a feeling I'm not going to approve of this.
All right, let me because I started this whole episode for this one album. So, um let me just say, it may be nostalgia. That might be factoring into it. So I'm going with that as
It's
a
fair.
maybe, okay? Because this is the first Dream Theater album cycle that came out when I was a fan. So basically I became a fan in like 95 when Awake came out, but it was already out at that time. So
Mm.
this is the first new Dream Theater album that I ever bought on day one. And it's the first I saw them live right before this album came out. And then I saw them a bunch of times, obviously, after that.
Hmm.
The point is, all of
The,
these songs are like when this is 97, right? So I was 16.
yeah, I think so.
I was 16 and like absorbing every note of every song on this album. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like it becomes part of your teenage years. You know what I mean? But I went back and listened to it again recently because I knew I was going to do this video, and I said,
And
isn't it just nostalgia, or do I really think the songs are that good?" My observation was the reason I like Bend the Clock so much is because it sounds like something that could potentially be on Falling to Infinity. So that shows you how much I like this album. Okay.
you also
So
really like Bend the Clock a lot, I must say.
yeah, so basically, Falling to Infinity had this like, I'm gonna put it, they were really in there. We're gonna write strong melodies when it comes to
Hmm.
the music, the
Oh yeah.
lyrics,
Oh yeah.
and they were being pressured. I know that Mike Portnoy doesn't. I don't think he loves this album that much. I don't know how the other guys feel about it, but I think it was because they were being pressured so much by the label, and they brought in an outside producer to help them and things like
Hmm.
that, and they didn't want. They even brought in an outside songwriter to help them on what is most people's least favorite Dream Theater song, is "You Not Me." So I
That
don't know if you
that
know
is,
that.
yeah.
So they had Desmond Child, the
Yeah.
pop
Yeah.
songwriter from the 80s. The label came in there and have him work with John Petrucci to write "You Not Me," a single.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and in fact, if you listen to the demo, I don't think the demo is this. I don't know that part of it, but the demo of "You Not Me" is called "You or Me," and I much prefer that over what's on the album, actually.
Hmm.
But there's a B-sides version of this album. So there's the Fall into Infinity album, and then there's the Fall into Infinity B-sides album too, which I have that too.
Hmm.
And I would take not only the Falling to Infinity songs, but the Falling to Infinity B-sides over many songs later in this band's career. And in fact, like that's how much I like it. And I'll go through the list, right? So most people like Peruvian Skies. It's kind of like a banger. Like people,
I
to
like
me,
it.
it's a good song. It's actually not one of my favorites, but it's a good song.
It's not
But
no, it's not the
yeah,
best on the album. Definitely
right.
not.
But then you have, I mean, on one album, this is why people say the album's bad or not top tier. On one album, this is why I can't understand it. If you have what I would say is two Dream Theater songs, which could be in the top 10 Dream Theater songs, they're got to be up there. So, for example, Lines in the Sand
Trial of Tears.
and Trial of Tears, they're in the argument for top 10 Dream Theater songs, right? Both of
Mm-hmm.
those songs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have other songs which are also very good. How could that be a bad album? You have two songs that are like potentially top 10 all time, right? Of all these songs, right? So you have that, Trial of Tears, and then you go through a list. For example, one of their best instrumentals they ever wrote, right? Hell's Kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
I love Hell's Kitchen. It goes into even Burning My Soul is like compare Burning My Soul to me to like Build Me Up, Break Me Down, or one of those songs, like Forsaken, right? To me, Burning My Soul was a much better song. It's like that style of song, right? Then you have other songs like Just Let Me Breathe. I freaking love that song. That song is like really cool, like trying to make a radio song.
Mm.
But if you listen to the instrumental section of that song, when it's supposed to be a quote unquote radio song, it's like insane, that instrumental. Could you imagine that being on the radio? It would be crazy. Okay. So
Yeah.
basically, like even the songs that people don't like on that album, like Anna Lee, for example, I
Mm.
think that's a really strong ballad. Take Away My Pain, the song about John Petrucci's dad dying. That's
Hollow
a great
Years.
song. Hollow Use is it's a staple. They play that live like all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like that's album is the quintessential. That doesn't mean that every song is like a 10 like Images and Words. I'm not saying that. So it's not an S tier album, but it's below it. It's like right below it. Like because in my opinion, it's either like You Not Me, okay. We'll take that one as a throwaway on the album, right? If you replace You Not Me with one of the B-sides, for example, like Raise the Knife, I don't know if you've ever heard Raise the Knife, but Raise the Knife is a good one. If you replace You Not Me with Raise the Knife, that album is almost like a perfect album, like for what it is, that style, actually. So I'm gonna put this album right here, and I'm gonna bump this one down. And that means I have to bump something in B down, which is tough. Mm, I'll do it this way. Okay.
That's the way.
Okay, now we can reorder B, but basically, this is how I would do it. To me, it's similar to Train of Thought tier wise. So that's my hot take. I know it's going to be a hot take if you're a Dream Theater fan. You spent an hour watching this video. Thank you, by the way, if you did. But anyway, I just think this is the most criminally underrated Dream Theater album of all time. Like people don't appreciate it. That's what I'm saying.
You could have literally saved 10 minutes by just saying you're a Derek Sherinian simp. Okay.
That Trini I thought was pretty awesome, actually.
No, I did too.
Yeah,
I actually really
yeah,
liked him.
yeah,
I agree. This is a
yeah.
very this is in the same vein as When Dream and Day Unite. It's it's lesser known. It's got a
Hmm.
weirder lineup. The songs are kind of like different esque. Like
Hmm.
it's at a weird in between period. Like Kevin Moore left. They get Derek
Hmm.
Sherinian for one album, and then Jordan Rudess is like mastermind behind the band. And
Right.
but like you said, like there's great. I haven't listened to this album in a long time actually. But Lines in the Sand and Trial of Tears are ones I definitely remember, and Peruvian Skies.
I mean, the second half of that album is arguably S tier. Like, if you just take the second half of that album, well, people would say Anna Lee is on it and things so. So no, it's not. People wouldn't say that. But if you take Hell's Kitchen, right, Lines in the Sand, and those three songs and Trial of Tears, most people, how many minutes is that? Like 35 minutes, almost something like that. Those three songs.
Which ones?
Most people
Lines in the Sand and what? Trial of Tears and what else?
and Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, it's about 30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like a half an album for most people, or even,
Hmm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You take those three songs, you just put that as a half of an album, and then you take like a few songs from the beginning, right? Like maybe Keep New Millennium and Peruvian Skies and Hollow Years, right?
Hmm.
And that's your album. That album's like front to back, inarguably incredible, pretty much.
Yeah.
So,
Now I have to go listen to it again.
so yeah, so there you go. So anyway, all right. Well, that was my hot take. So last one for you, sir. View from the Top of the World.
So this is probably the one I'm least familiar with.
Okay.
Um, but it did have two standout tracks for me.
Okay.
Um, The Alien, which is an opener, see a
Hmm.
nice theme here.
Yeah.
It's an awesome track, and I think it has some of the best Mangini moments on it.
Okay.
A lot of good stuff on there. And
Hmm.
then obviously the song of View from the Top of the World is excellent. It's a
Hmm.
epic, of course, you know. Um, I did really like those tracks a lot. Those two stood out to me when I listened
Okay.
to it.
Okay.
Sleeping Giant was good too. Um, the other tracks I don't really remember that much, to be honest.
Okay.
And that's not.
This
I don't
is
think
yeah.
that's not really because I didn't like it. It's just
Hmm.
because like it's. I only had one listen, and
Right.
it's kind of at the end, like for Mangini. I don't know if they knew he was like going to be out by this point. I don't know if they were in talks with Portnoy. Um, but it kind of had the same problem with Distance Over Time, where it felt like they were just kind of like lacking motivation and creative
Mm.
spirit. Maybe getting
Okay.
like some kind of writer's block.
Okay.
Maybe the Astonishing fucked them up. I don't know. Um, but again, one listen's not enough for a Dream Theater album. It's like King Crimson. Like
Right, right.
you need multiple listens. But those three tracks I did like for sure.
Okay. So I would recommend going back another time and giving definitely Answering the Call and Transcending Time another listen.
Okay.
Those are two of my favorites from this album. I actually really like this album. It's let me think about it, look into this list. This is your where you can put it, but if I were to put it somewhere, to me, it's like neck and neck with the self-titled album. I would probably put it
That's
right after the self-titled album.
that's where I was gonna put it.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, yeah. Not
Yeah,
even kidding.
right. Okay. So yeah, so it's a better to me, it's better than Distance Over Time. It's similar to the self-titled album. It's not as good as the one that you really like.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I think that's the best Mangini album personally.
Okay. What's funny is it's the best Mangini album. It's not even his parts, the one that you like.
I
Yeah.
know. It just happens to be in his era.
Right. It's just the songs are the strongest. But like playing wise, the enemy inside, the alien, some of those songs are like insane drum parts, like
Yeah,
on
I
those
know, man.
songs.
His
They're
drumming on the Alien
crazy.
is awesome.
Yeah,
I was like, whoa, this
it's
is
like
like,
the top tier prog metal drumming. Like it's up there, right?
yeah,
So shout out to Mike Mangini. All right.
yeah, we
To be
love it.
honest with you, to be honest with you, I'm good with it. You know, I mean, we could, for example, if I were to rearrange this, all I would do, and I'm not, we can debate it. I would just
Dude,
do that.
why do you got to be an Octavarium hater, man?
I would just literally flip that and then it would be good. But that's what we placed it, so I'm okay with it.
All right, so
So,
let's.
yeah.
A is the only one I think needs rearranging.
Okay.
I mean, I would put Dramatic Turn of Events over. I would put that ahead of Black Clouds. That's just
Okay.
me. But it's
Okay.
fine. It's fine where it is. I think that's fine.
Okay.
I think it's
Okay.
low B tier. Like most of the Mangini albums are like whatever, you know. Like
Right.
they're all right. Like they're pretty
Right.
good. Um, so for A, I think we should put Train of Thought at the high end of the A,
Okay. Like that.
and then I think 6 Degrees, and then Octavarium. I think that's fair.
Okay. All right.
Because I might be biased with Octavarium because I think it's a solid album, but I don't know if
Hmm.
it's like their fourth best album. You know, like
I see. Yeah, I gotcha.
yeah,
Um,
I think that looks pretty good though.
I'll leave it the way it is. Personally, I would flip it. Otherwise, it's just one small change, so that's okay.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, as long as Falling to Infinity is an A tier, I'm happy. As long as it's in there, is what I'm saying. The disrespect has to end. That's all I'm saying. So
for which one? For what?
Falling to Infinity.
Oh,
So yeah, and that was a weird time in the band's history, of course, because of the label. They cut their hair different. It was
oh
kind
yeah,
of,
that was
it's like
very
it was a
strange.
weird
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
But musically, they even have. Have you ever heard "Speak to Me"?
Speak to Me, Breathe by Pink Floyd.
Speak to Me by Dream Theater. It's a B-side off of Falling to Infinity. What you should
No.
do is check out the Falling to Infinity B-side and demos album. Give that a listen. It has Speak to Me on it. It has Raise the Knife. It has actually the live versions of that stuff are even better, I would say, as far as quality wise. But just give it a listen, basically.
Oh, like Once in a Lifetime, you mean?
Yeah, so like so Score has Raise the Knife on it. So listen to like Raise the Knife on Score, the live album Score. That's
Oh,
an excellent song. Yeah.
also, I know it's not
Yeah.
on here, but where would you put Change of Seasons?
Well, I mean, it's just one song, right?
Yeah, but it's got those sweet covers on it though.
I would put it, well, if we're only allowed three in S, it couldn't go there, but it would have to go to top of A. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Top of A. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Because it's Change of Seasons. I mean,
Yeah, that song's that's probably their best epic, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, probably that. And then if epic is defined as over 15 minutes, maybe,
I would
I
say
don't know,
over 20. I think
over
over
20.
over 20, yeah.
Oh, okay. Over 20. Yeah. It's the best. Probably Octavarium is second.
All right, we'll say 19 because Count of Tuscany's 19 minutes, and I consider
Okay.
that an epic.
There you go. So
I like the song Octavarium, but I would say Change of Seasons is the best.
I agree. Yep. Change of Seasons, definitely one of the best like prog metal epic songs out there.
Yeah.
Well, overall, I'm not mad at it, is what I'm saying. And
I think it's great.
yeah, I think I feel good about it, and I feel happy with that. The new album is represented where it is,
Yeah.
and Falling to Infinity, and When Dreamy Day Night, because I know that was a bit of a hot take too.
Yeah.
So, but I
Everybody
feel
else's
like,
that would be in D tier, guaranteed.
but I feel like if you really, really love Dream, like if you're a hardcore fan, right? I don't know how you couldn't love a lot of those When Dreamy Day Night songs. They're like early Dream Theater classics. You know what I mean? So
It's a love to hate album because it doesn't have James LaPree on it. It's
yeah, that's true.
automatically
That's
it's
true.
it's it's the same thing as not liking the first Rush album because Neil Peart's not on it. You know,
Right.
it's the
Yeah, it
same
makes
thing.
sense. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
now, granted, the first Rush album is like hard rock, but like it's the same
Hmm.
thing. Like people
Right.
hate it just to hate it. It's just
Yeah.
you know, it's a
Yeah.
solid album.
It's a solid album and
It's better than the fucking Astonishing. I'll tell you that much.
well, well, with that being said, thanks, Mark. And if you're still listening to this or still watching it out there, shout out to you because this was longer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
But anyway,
it's
it
pretty
ended
long.
up being good. It ended up being good. So check us out on another episode. I don't know when it would be. I don't even know what it would be. We recorded a couple today. So if you liked this, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and please provide your feedback, right? If you agree with us, if you disagree with us, if you'd like to see us talk about something else, if there's another album which you think we should look into, another band, because the purpose of this channel is really about discovery. So for me, this isn't a discovery episode. This is like I always wanted to do this type of episode, but it is a little bit discovery for you because I know you weren't that familiar with the Mangini album, so
Yeah.
it still fits into the discovery realm in that sense. So we're trying. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, let me just like say this at the end. Like Dream Theater's
Yeah.
always been like a comfort band, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
they have like a lot of nostalgia for me. Like I hear like their stuff and it's like kind of corny to say, but it just makes me feel good, like nostalgically. Like
Yeah,
because it was a lot of like I listened to them a lot in like formative years, you know,
gotcha.
like 6 Degrees and like even like the earlier stuff. So they're just like I wouldn't say it's a guilty pleasure because they're not like bad, obviously. Like they're great, they're awesome. But it's like
Mhm.
one of those, it's a comfort band for me.
Right.
And
Same for me. Yeah.
yeah, I love them, you know.
Shout out to Dream Theater. 40 years, still going. So,
Yeah.
well,
Most talented set of musicians that ever existed, easily.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not even
There you go.
close. They're
And a
insane,
few of them
so unbelievably talented.
from Long Island too. So there you go. Shout
Yeah.
out to Long Island.
Long
And
Long Island up there in
yeah.
New York, you know what I'm saying?
All right. And then one Canadian too. So
That's true.
yeah. So thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Thanks
Anytime,
for
my
joining.
man. I love this kind of shit.
All right, and we'll see you next time.